Game on. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our first remarketed, re-advertised DC TV after show, The Pipeline. We have some very interesting episodes of both Superman, Lois, and Gotham Knights, and our first ever guest on the remarketed stream, our remarketed after party is Darth Bunyon. How's it going, buddy?
Hi, it's going really well. It's going really well. We had a good week of TV so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more.
Yeah, no, it's been a really fun week. Of course, we had Superman, Lois, and Gotham Knights, which I had fun with both of these episodes today. And then also, like, it's gonna be an interesting couple of weeks. We've got Titans coming back this week. We have a couple crossover events coming up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, we're gonna be jumping right into tonight's episode. So we had a brand new episode of Superman and Lois, season 1, episode 5, titled Head On. Now, I've been really enjoying Superman and Lois this season. I think it's been A plus all across the boards. Have you been enjoying it?
Absolutely. Um, I would go so far as nines for Superman and Lois, nines and above. Um, for me, genuinely has not missed a beat, even with all the side characters. Ever since episode 1, when it showed you like the aftermath of everything with Lois's article, and then just keeps bringing everybody in like a really fun and interesting way, and I really like it.
Absolutely. I think this season, Lois has really been the highlights of almost every episode. Like, it's a storyline that I thought could get kind of like maybe boring or annoying after a while just because of what CW has done in the past with these type of stories. But every episode, I'm like, nope, it's still doing wonders. It's still doing amazing things here.
I was genuinely sat like crying, fully, like genuinely crying. I mean, I can't imagine like anybody in this world now that either hasn't had cancer touch their lives or knows somebody that's had cancer touch their lives.
Sure.
You know, so it's a very personal story, and they are landing it so like well. Every beat they're hitting. You know.
Sure. I love really how hands-on it is too. Like, I feel like most shows, they would have it as part of the soul of like the drama, but they go as far to like go into the hospitals and like meet the different patients and
Yeah.
really tackle head on the emotional struggles of each and every character. And I think that's something that's really, really special. So just, overall, what was kind of your like consensus of this episode?
Well, to kind of touch on what you were talking about, I when the talking with the patients was happening, I genuinely sat and thought about who would have been better, like Clark or Lois, to have these conversations, and
Sure.
I think they made the right choice with Clark, and
Sure.
not just because he's Superman, but more because he's her partner, and like you get like you get a full honest conversation with Lois, but they're gonna share stuff with like they're gonna share stuff with Lois that they're not gonna share stuff with Clark, and then vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like he got some really like important lessons there. So
Sure. No, I think this season, especially, they're doing really like a really good job at making it a Superman and Lois show. Where
yeah,
season 1, it felt like it was oftentimes just a like it was weird because sometimes it was only Lois, sometimes it was only Clark, and then season 2 was all like Clark. It was all Clark Kent, and then this season there's a perfect balance of these two characters. And like I'm thinking, like we're 30 minutes in, there's been zero Superman whatsoever, and I wasn't phased at all. Like everything felt so interesting,
yeah,
and like it works as that family drama show just as much as it is this giant superhero show.
yeah. Um, can we talk about Jonathan for a moment and how just perfect his storyline is going to be? I mean, everyone was like, ah, he should be going like Natalie's route, you know, like kind of like suiting up and being a superhero and stuff. But he's finding his own way, and I love that. I
Sure.
love that. Do you know what I mean? He was going um a bit too hardcore in season two. I mean, I understand like it was fight for survival and stuff, but I mean, season one we saw hints of it as well, like when he was like robbing the van for weapons and stuff and insisting on being trained and everything else. Um, but this feels so much more of a right fit, and it's especially for Smallville. You know.
Sure. No, I'm very curious about Jonathan because it wasn't a story I was really predicting for that character. But Kyle comes to Jonathan this week and he asks him to help out over at the fire station. And I'm very curious to see where that entire plot line goes this season. Where do we see Jonathan at the end of the season? Because there's been a lot of rumors with like maybe next season may not take place in Smallville, whatever. So I'd be very curious to see where his arc goes this season. We've heard every single character has like this individual arc, so I'd be very curious.
Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just like I don't know because if he's done a really good job, they're going to want to keep him around, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're not going to want to ship him off to another fire station. So
Sure.
I don't understand. Like maybe I mean they're going to want him to move to Metropolis as well if they
Oh yeah.
do. So I don't know because I can't imagine it not going well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't imagine them setting him up to fail just to move
Sure.
him along and then be Captain Sadness.
Yeah, no, I honestly I do really like the story for him because like Jonathan's been a character where it's like, well, he's not a hero like Jordan and Clark, and he has this kind of like mentality that he's just like this every other day person. But like firefighters are heroes too. Like in their own rights, they do save people. So honestly, I would love a storyline like that where like maybe he can't like lift up buildings, but he can still save people,
Yeah.
being this almost firefighter, and maybe spark that interest in him now, and then maybe series finale or whatever we can build up that's the character that he does become.
Yeah. Um, Slight benefit as well. I don't really know of any political stigma with being a fireman, so he chose the right branch.
Right. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and we had a lot of that. Like, I like the like CW drama stuff that they have here. Like, I know in a lot of these shows it goes too far. I think this show pushes the envelope just enough where it's like, this is cheesy sometimes, this is fun, but honestly, like it really works with these characters. And we had this school dance storyline,
Yeah.
and one of the main things was Candace and this back and forth with, should they do this long distance or should they not? I really liked Candace this season. I remember last season I thought she was kind of weird, wasn't that into
Yeah.
her. But this
Yeah.
season I think she's been just a fun character to watch on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think last season she was kind of designed for us to hate her,
Sure.
and this season she's been, apart from Lois, like Jonathan's biggest champion. You know.
Yeah.
So that's endeared us incredibly to her for sure.
That you know what? That's a really good point because like this show has proved they're really good with characters. Like any characters they want us to like, we will like instantly. And I think a good example of that is Kyle, where like I really liked him in season one. Like I thought he was a really great character. I think they built him up in a really interesting way. And then
Yeah.
season two, they're like, no, we hate Kyle. He's a terrible father. He's a terrible husband. He cheated. And now again this season, we're like, I love Kyle. Like he's such a great dude. And I think it's just when they want us to like Kyle, we really like Kyle.
Superman and Lois is like Mean Girls with that book, and we're just following all of it.
Sure. Sure. No, I really like that scene. I mean, it was very cheesy, but I love the scene where him and Chloe? No,
Chrissy,
Chrissy, they're just dancing on the whole dance floor. I thought that was a really fun scene.
I thought Sarah and David scene was really nice as well. He's a really good actor.
Mm-hmm.
For not being on the screen much, um, like to draw you in and make you care that he's upset.
Yeah.
Like takes a lot because he like literally you could like it's like 3 minutes at most like I would imagine he's not really on screen a lot out of the
Sure.
whole accumulative time, and he did really, really well.
Sure.
But obviously, uh, Bitsy Tulloch and uh, Tyler Hoechlin, proper standouts, right? But for me, Chad L. Coleman is just insane. He's so good. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. I mean, I was excited for him to come into this anyway because he's a really cool actor and he's funny as hell. But just wow, every time he's on screen, the presence he has, like like he's got his own like ulterior motives and his benefit to the community does come with a monkey's paw. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'm gonna give, but I'm gonna take in my own way. To say like, but he has so many valid points. Do you know what I mean? He's not wrong. He's not wrong in so many ways, and he's just wrong in his methods. That's you know. But
Sure.
as he's kind of said, like he's had to fight. He's had to survive. He's had to like be ruthless to thrive. You know, and everybody has sat pointing the finger the whole time because he's won, because he's done well. You know what I mean? Like if he kept losing and then just kept going back to the gutter, nobody would care.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's kind of like the villain's right. What do we do? I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, I really enjoyed Bruno. So, that was kind of like our main plot line this episode. Of course, last episode we saw Lois transfer her chemo treatment locations to be inside of Bruno's hospital, and her whole plan is to have her chemo. Like, she wants to eat her cake. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Have all this, and it just makes Lois such a strong character. I know, like in the media, there's so much of people like hating these strong female characters, but the way they write Lois Lane is so good. Like she has cancer and she's going through chemo and she's still like trying to fight this crime lord, and it's so inspiring. And there's definitely that bit where it's like, well, we know this guy's evil and we know half the things he's saying is like BS, but also the actor's so good that you like believe it. Where
Yeah,
like in this scene, it was like, Lois, back off, like leave this man alone. But like you obviously know that he's after all this bad stuff.
so bad. Yeah, yeah. Um, like talk about having your cake and eating it, and I know you can't, right? And I'm not taking it away from them in any way, right? Because as we've said, it's a full 9, if not 10 out of 10 this week, as it has been every week. But I couldn't help but sit there and think, just because of who she is getting velvet rope treatment. Do you know what I mean? And this is only like an episode after, like Bruno Mannheim sitting there talking about a class divide and shit. You know what I mean? And then here it is. Like, I granted it's for somebody we love and we care about, but she is getting full VIP treatment. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
I couldn't help but notice that. You know what I mean? And again, we can't have our cake and eat it. They can't tell a deep, touching story about treatment and stuff without that. You know what I mean? So you can't like do everything. I understand that. You know what I mean? Um, but if they found a way to like if they took, now that like Candace is out of the story, like say for example, like Lois could like interact or meet with somebody on the other side of the tracks that has struggled to get treatment. Do you know what I mean? So then
Sure.
maybe she could see that she has been taking it for granted, and then kind of goes, well, I'm going to be a bit more responsible now because the appointments that I've been canceling, that treatment could have gone to somebody else. I'm costing a lot of people money and resources. Do you know what I mean? Not just
Yeah.
Bruno
Sure.
Mannheim, but other people as well. So, you know what I mean? Like there is more to be told. There is a lot more to be
Sure,
told.
sure. That's actually a really great point that I never really thought of. But yeah, there definitely seems to be a story that's brewing with, you know, Bruno Man. I think we're definitely going to end the season very much like Bruno Mannheim was evil and we've taken him down, but let's take the lessons that he tried to instill and flip it on its side and like turn all this terrible stuff that he did into something good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very curious because we also know Lex is in the picture at some point. So I wonder if we're going to like see Bruno as this kind of like anti-hero type character, you know, like in a way, and then we get the Lex and like, oh, that man's just evil. Like you know, like what we had with Lex was, or with Bruno was better than, you know, what we have now with Lex.
Mm. The question is, what does he want with Superman? You know what I mean? What does he want with Bizarro? Obviously, it's to create a Superman, but why? Um, why does it require the person to be dead is a big issue. But
Sure.
I mean, obviously, Henry Miller's first thing was to go and fight Superman. You don't know if that was Bruno Mannheim's directive or that was just his personal vendetta or a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
But like say for example, like Lex would want that power so he could be incredibly powerful. Like I don't think that's Bruno Mannheim's goal. I don't think he wants the power specifically for himself.
Sure.
So it's interesting to see what his end goal is, and if it's, I don't think it's just to have a superpower bodyguard either. So, and he's somebody that plays chess. He plays the long game,
Sure.
you know. So it's gonna be. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I'm very curious to see. Yeah, you know, that's also a really good point. And it's like, what does he ultimately want here? I guess I never really thought about that, but yeah, I guess maybe he just has means. Like his way in fixing the city is maybe a step too far, and he knows Superman will stop those plans, so he needs to get him out of the way first, so he can rebuild Metropolis. Maybe almost like a Malcolm Merlin plotline that we had over on Arrow, where he kind of wants to like rebuild the city or something. I'm not really sure. And you know, we'll obviously talk about that massive plot twist at the end of the episode. You know, towards the end of all of this. So moving on from that a little bit, one of my favorite parts of this episode was Sam and Natalie. Sam is a character that I think can so easily be hated, but the way they write this character is just so ingenious. It's so much fun. And he almost played this like overprotective grandpa role
It was sweet.
for Natalie.
Very sweet.
It was so good.
He's a charismatic guy. He really is. And yeah, like I don't know. I think just from like all of the media intake we've had over all of the years, we're just predisposed to dislike any military man with a stern attitude in a movie or a TV show.
Sure.
Especially when they're telling our hero no, you know.
Yeah.
So he's been reeling it back, and really had a really nice time with Natalie, and it was really sweet. Yeah, it was a really good
like
time.
it's even I mean, Sam Lane in general is a character that we typically don't enjoy, right? He's usually like more of an antagonist to Superman than like part of the family or whatever. Even the version that we had on Supergirl that was supposed to be the same version of this character was very like cold and was like against Kara and stuff from what I can remember. But no, I think the way that they've been telling the story, we had the return this episode of Mateo, I think is his name. Now we have heard who this character is, I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to talk about that too much because the show hasn't directly told us.
How far are they going to push it?
I am wondering that too, because I was very unsteady the whole time. I was like, this is cute, but it's also really weird.
All I kept thinking was Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars.
Sure.
That was it. That was literally it. All I kept thinking about was like those two swinging, you know, like draw it back.
But I gotta respect this man. Like he was very smooth. He was a gentleman. Like he was the nicest Jay I could imagine. Like he bought a suit. Like he drove to Smallville. He bought himself a suit. She left him inside of the ball, and he still stuck around and was the nicest guy. I feel bad for him when all the cards fall and they know everything that we currently know. Um, but I thought it was very cute. I thought this whole sequence was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will agree with you even more so because like they don't seem like obviously because of her inexperience, as she said,
Hmm.
she's not the kind of person to just be dating here, there, and everywhere, right? And since he's been infatuated with seeing her on day one, he is obviously not that kind of person either. So, like you say, when the cards fall, everybody's going to be taking this really hard. Do you know what I mean? It's not just going to be like the flavor of the week. It's going to be,
Sure.
oh, dang, this was going somewhere, you know? So,
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm so interested because I've even been wondering like again if the whole theories about us moving sets and stuff for next season are true. I wonder if like he will be the replacement for like a Sarah, right, or like a Lana. If we do have to change cast, this is a character we're stuck with a little bit longer. But no, I think he's a really fun character so far. I'm very curious to see where we take it. I also loved the whole speech with Sam and Natalie and I think that we're at a point where like she has completely like taken this like Kent family as her own family now, and I really enjoy that. She called Sam Grandpa, which just made my heart melt. I thought that was the cutest thing ever. I was a little I was shocked that wasn't like a season finale type thing. Like I thought they would have had them bond throughout the entire season, and then that be like a final thing that kind of like ends everything.
see, now that you've pointed that out, that makes me a little bit nervous for Sam.
Oh, really? Maybe.
Because everyone's talking about what a condensed show it is and how, like, chock full of people it is.
Sure.
And since he's not at the military anymore and he's only at a liaison, which Superman already has since he just keeps rocking in there whenever he wants and works there still anyway, he is a little bit of a superfluous character.
Sure. Maybe. Maybe. I think Sam's also a character that can like move to small or to move to Metropolis pretty easily, right? Because he's always there anyway. I honestly the only one that I'm really worried about are the Langs because I can't see them moving sets. Like I don't see how that would work. The Irons, I think they could just move with them, maybe.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
yeah, because they're kind of like family already, so I can just see them. Oh, let's all just move to Metropolis or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know about the Langs.
The issue with Sam at the moment is has the the trouble that he could be turning into Joe post retirement,
Sure,
and
sure. What do we give them?
I'm a bit worried with that because also with the move to Metropolis comes the opportunity to bring in new cast members and new storylines and everything else. So like it's like how much do they want to hold on to what they've had before? How much would they want to like expand and try something else?
That's a good point, and I think like when if you have this like potential reboot, I think you have the opportunity to bring in so many cool characters. I would love a like Jimmy Olsen like to come and like be part
Yeah.
of our cast or like a all these things. I don't want them to kill Sam. Like I think he still adds a lot to the show so far. But like
He
you're
could
right.
just he could also just go off in a relationship that's now been set up.
They did do that. I wonder if we're going to give Sam like a love interest and where that goes. Um,
Because
I'm not against it.
Like Tal Rowe, you could get the happily ever after.
Sure. I do wonder because like he wanted to like retire, right? But now he's back in like his spot. Like where do we end that character? Is it death or does he ultimately get to retire and be the man that he wanted to be?
Given how bleak the storyline is throughout, you might be right, and a happily ever after is much more likely.
Sure.
because they like say for example like it's super low death. Oh my god, what's happened? Do you know what I mean? Like heartbreak
Sure.
central.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I think your season finale is going to have to be. I think you had to end it very hopeful. Like I think you have to end it with like, we made it through. Like all this stuff we've had to deal with, we finally made it to the end. Um, but I that ultimately answers the question I've heard a lot of people asking. Hopefully, nothing bad happens to Lois. You don't think that they would do anything like that, right? Like you don't think they would actually kill Lois and then like bring her back? Because
This is a tough thing, right? Because if they do, then then I kind of feel like they're cheating people that have cancer.
yeah,
And then if they just give like the thing is they've chosen one that's excuse me super aggressive and very far into it. So they're going to be have to be very careful,
yeah.
and they've been really good so far. So I'm going to give them full credit, and I'm going to just wait and see. But they have to be very careful how they handle this, and I'm really not sure. I'm obviously thinking it has something to do with Superman's blood. We're going to have to wait and see, but um, I don't think she will die. I don't think she will. I'm going to say 60-40 on the no side.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one because like I think there's obviously a story where like Bruno has some kind of cure for Lois, and but like I think that's such a risky storyline to tell because like you said, there's so many like no one else has a cure for cancer, right? Like you can't just we live in a world where you can't just do that, and I think it could be very tasteless to tell that story. Like the end of season, she's like, "Yay, I'm all cured," and the world's great, and I don't
Yeah.
know. It it's a I think it's a messy one. I'm not saying you can't tell it, but I think you are right. They have to be very careful with how they tell this story.
Especially with those patients, like the amount of patients, and then that woman
Yeah.
with her daughter. You know what I mean? Because
No, yeah, that was such a good scene. Like I love scenes like that in superhero media, where like it's not always about saving a train or finding a bad guy. Like there's a scene where Clark is being a hero just by talking to these women, like letting them tell his own like their own story to him, and it's so good. And I think Clark has learned a different perspective from all this. And we talked about this on stream a couple weeks ago. Like this is one of the few instances where Clark just can't like punch his way out of this, right? Like
yeah,
he literally can't do anything for her. He just kind of has to be there with her, and I think that's such a beautiful story.
yeah, and literally the whole time, no matter what he's been saying, she has not been listening, doing almost the opposite of everything he's been asking for, which has been completely reasonable. Um, so yeah, it like he's completely powerless in
Sure.
every sense, you know. So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see where they go. I'm just loving this show. It's been it's been absolutely amazing since day one, honestly.
Yeah. Levi Oliver says these scenes were great, but it's really hard to watch. It really is. It's really painful, but I ultimately think that makes this like a better show. Like look at
Yeah,
like even like shows like Breaking Bad are really hard to watch at some point, right? Like just some of the scenes and some of the greatest shows of all time. And I think this season is like each episode I end it being like this is one of the best shows on television. Like the writing,
yeah,
the way it's produced, everything. It's so good, but also
yeah,
so hard to watch. It's I've at least teared up every episode this season. Like it's
yeah,
been so good.
I was, yeah. Tears was streaming. Don't worry about it. No, nobody was alone on that one. I was there too.
Yeah, man. I and I also just like the whole stuff with like Lois trying to get to this party and Clark being like, I don't think we should. Like, I think you need to rest. And just that moment where she has to give up. Like, she has to be like, I can't. Like you're right. I
Yeah,
literally can't go to this thing.
yeah.
It's so heart wrenching. And then of course that whole scene with them dancing inside of the living room is so sweet and so wholesome.
It was much more realistic as well that it she finally caved because as strong as she is, there needed to be a give and rather soon. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially for how ill she is. You know,
Yeah.
there's only so much of a facade she can have.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious how far they're going to take the storyline. Like how far into this are we going to dive into? Are we gonna like I'm so nervous, but also kind of curious to see where it all ultimately leads. I will say now again, there wasn't very much action in this episode, which I was totally fine with. I was so entertained the entire time. I think with these shows, there doesn't need to be constant action. I think if you just have your one like looking at like Stargirl, like they would go they would go weeks without a single fight scene, but like when they did, it was so good, and I
Yeah,
was fine with that. The fight scene that we got this episode, um, was really interesting. Like it was really unique, probably one of the more unique ones because I
yeah.
think sometimes when you have Superman at your core, it's hard to be like, how did he lose? Like, how was this even a trouble? But I thought him being able to like phase like in and out was it made for a really interesting fight scene.
Yeah. I will say though, I feel like the Kryptonite Blade should be doing more. Even if they only did it where it only affects him when it's not in phase. You know what I mean? Like it should still then like be kind of crippling him, but he was just kept being ready to go the whole time, and I like that was a small thing for me.
Maybe
Um,
I
but sorry, go on.
I definitely think it's kind of been shown that like obviously he's still like very like he can't deal with like it, but like it also seems like he has grown like a tolerance to some point. I remember in the pilot he like pulled it out. So maybe like since he's got older, he's been able to handle it better than he was when he was younger. It wasn't really an issue for me, but I could definitely get that.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, yeah. But I
Fair
mean,
point
but
though.
can you develop a tolerance to just pure radiation?
I don't know. You're right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was. I don't know. I didn't have an issue with it, but I could definitely see why that would be an issue for some
It
people.
only took me out of like the fight for a second. Like it
Sure.
wasn't like I'm like, oh, I'm taking a whole thing off for the show, but because like you say, they do fights really well, and a really a big favorite for me is season one, episode 4, where that lady was found in the motel room by Lois, and then that big hulking dude comes in, and then she just pulls the thing, and then Superman comes in, he's
Sure.
half
Just
the
straight through
size,
the wall. Yeah.
and yeah, yeah, it just comes in, and then literally just as he's just owned him, like Lois is like Superman, and then just boom, and then doesn't even finish saying I'm okay. He knows she's okay. They're a team. They're so in sync. He's already getting the person that needs saving to the hospital. Do you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
phenomenal. It's such a phenomenal show.
Absolutely. So coming towards kind of the end of everything, we got one kind of plot line I haven't talked about too much, and that was Lana, and then Chrissy as well. Which those are two characters we haven't seen too much of together. I assume we'll get more of that because there seems to be like a love square happening. I don't know how I feel about that, but she kind of wants to leak all the stuff about our prior mayor. Um, what did you think about this entire storyline? This is probably my least favorite stuff. Not because it was bad, but I just kind of like I didn't get much out of it.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I am expecting them to have Lana handle it badly. Um, it could go either way. It could easily just be her just like kind of just taking a beat, going, okay, well, fine. We've got a divorce. You're happy. She sees prospects with John Henry, and she wanted the privacy of her own life anyway, so she knows he's going to be busy and not care. So there is that option. But I kind of feel like, as you said, because they're making a point of having Chrissy and Lana spend time together, um, sharing information and stuff, that I don't know. I just feel like they're just gonna like have that in for that added little bit of drama.
Sure, I definitely think that's it's definitely what we're trained to think. I'm hoping that like that's what they plan on, where it's like, oh, this is going to end terribly, and then they're like, psych, she's actually like supportive of it, whatever. I talked about this over in Lance's stream yesterday. I definitely think it's going to feel like a very rom-commy type ending, where I think it's like she could be with John and she could be with Chrissy, but like they're both like, no, we should be with each other, and they, get
Oh
together by the end of
wow,
the season or whatever. Like
wow,
I think they will. I have a feeling
wow.
they might try and fix their relationship, maybe. Honestly, I'm not too like I don't really care too much like what direction they go in.
I
Um,
don't. I don't. Only because after the the incident, the slap, they're they're gonna like. I kind of feel like everybody's gonna be flourishing. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Lana in this episode is finding out who she's going to be as a mayor, uh, and as strong as and a good person. Um, Sarah is just great at being Sarah. You know what I mean? Wing type A, and like freaking phenomenal wing woman, and a great friend to somebody who needs a friendship rekindling. And then you got Kyle, dancer extraordinaire. You know, the only one we're missing, I think,
we
I
didn't see
forget
John's
Sophie's sister's
sister.
name, the one that's never in it. Um, the mystery sister. We just not have seen
Oh
her flourish.
sure, Lucy. That's not right. Something.
No, Lucy's Lois's sister. How bad is it that she's not in the show enough that we have to check?
um, let's see real quick. That would be. I can't even find it. Oh well, it's fine. Sophie.
Yeah,
Sophie.
literally found it as you said it. Yeah, Sophie.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something I think it's fun to joke about a lot, but I don't. I like it doesn't bother me she's not there. Like what would we have her do? You know what I mean? Same thing
Yeah,
with like Jenna over on the Flash. Like it's nice when we get her, but I don't complain when she's not there because what would we do with her?
yeah. It would really slow everything down for sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think there are scenes where it is a little weird, where like the world's ending and like they're all like huddled together and like she's just gone.
yeah.
She's just not there.
She's still with Nanny. This
Yeah.
is yeah. Oh. Um, but yeah, I'm really interested to find out what she found because while she might not be making it public, I do think that Chrissy knows, so Clark and Lois are going to be finding out, so we'll find out. So that is going to be cool. So I'm very interested to find out because that could be the ties, obviously, to Lex Luthor, and then where that starts now.
Sure. Yeah, no. I'm very curious how we are going to introduce Lex and like into the season. And what role he plays. Do you think he kills Bruno? Or do you think they'll somehow like work together?
This is the thing. I already before the season started, I genuinely thought they were going to anyway because they're both big bads and they hate Superman. So I get their goals should align.
Sure.
But then you got Bruno's speech about how Lex Luthor's basically just as bad as Superman and like he hates them both. You're like, oh well, they're definitely not going to be working together. Um,
Sure.
and I would hate it. I would hate it if Lex killed Bruno. I want him to survive. Uh, like prison or get away, I don't care. I do not
Mm-hmm.
want that man to die. He
Sure.
just he owns the room. He fully owns the room, and that's with Superman in it.
Yeah.
Standing a man in a blue suit and a cape. The dude draws your attention to him. It's nuts. He does so well.
Sure. It would also be a repeat of Arrow, where like Prometheus kills Tobias Church. So I would hate if they did. I don't know. I don't love when you kill off your villains. Like I like having like a rogues gallery around you can play with, seasons going on. But it also just kind of hit me. There's a lot of villains this season. Like we have Bruno, we have Onomatopoeia. We know Lex is involved. Spoilers if you've not seen this week's episode, but now we have Bizarro back potentially. Is he going to stay Bizarro? You know, we can talk about that in a minute. But like, there's a lot going on, and I wonder how it's all going to like collide.
Plus, Lex never works alone.
Mm.
Like, I know, we're going to be getting like basically a loner libertarian with a bank account kind of vibe, and like with a grudge against Superman, but he's still Lex Luthor, you know, and still has an unlimited pool of resources, and a vast number of those are people. So
Yeah.
I imagine maybe getting Mercy Graves, um, and maybe some other like lower tier or mid
Sure.
tier villains to kind of distract Superman while he's off in the forest or whatever, like doing his plan. You know, um, that'd be cool. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. But to kind of end off the episode, one of Bruno's new like henchmen. I didn't catch this villain's name. He had a name at the very end. What was it? Was it like Point Break or something? It was something interesting. I didn't write it down though.
It was something to do with his power of phasing, wasn't it?
It was something. I didn't. I wish I would have wrote it down because it sounded cool, and I like when they give their villains like names and stuff. But he broke into the DoD. He fought Superman. Really cool thing. We already talked about that. But he downloaded intel to give to Bruno, and we end the episode with the reveal that Bruno Mannheim now has the corpse of Bizarro. Which I yelled out loud when I saw this. I don't know why I didn't see it coming. It was such a good reveal. What did you think about this twist?
I thought it was amazing. I went nuts. Um, and obviously, like, is this like? Do you think like that's they're gonna obviously inject him with um, not dead Superman blood and a bit of XK in, and that's how we're gonna get Doomsday.
I how fitting would it be if they use the twist that we didn't get last season to make the villain that we ultimately wanted. Like I think that'd be such a fitting
Yeah, because
end.
like that's how he started off, wasn't it? Like
Sure.
that
Yep.
the tease of him being that. So yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
right. It would bookend it phenomenally for me. Yeah. Um,
It would be a great ending if it was the final season, right? We'll hopefully know within the hopefully next week if Superman Lois is getting renewed. If it's not, we don't know
oh
exactly what's
really?
happening. But we should
Okay.
know by next week, and it would be if this was the final season, or even if this is just kind of like a closure to this arc for it, like you know like the Smallville arc or whatever. Like it would be a really good bookend to the season. I think if we ultimately do Doomsday, it also makes me wonder how they'll do it because as good as our budget can be and as good as it can look, it's also Doomsday is also I think hard to do. Like it was
Yeah.
hard to do with a like $1 million budget. Like you know it's really hard to make Doomsday look great.
Smallville handled it really well,
They
and
did.
he was damn near perfect.
They went
If
the more like human route, which worked for me.
I
Worked
well,
for
I was
the
gonna say if Davis Bloom wasn't involved, Doomsday would be straight on a 10 for me.
mm-hmm,
Like he brought it down. I didn't really like the kind of duality vibe. Um, I just I wanted Doomsday to be just a fierce and constant presence and danger.
sure.
You know, not um, having Jekyll and Hyde vibes. So,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I'm
so you've put it out there now, and I'm really hoping that Lex Luthor doesn't kill Bruno Mannheim.
yeah, no, I hope he sticks around. I honestly, I'd be fine if he just was our main villain this season because I think he's that good. He's
Yeah.
honestly my favorite DC TV villain since like Bloodwork. I'm trying to think of the last one that was really good. I mean, I've liked some, but I think to like this level for me,
White
he's like really
Dragon,
high up there. Hmm?
Red Dragon, what was it? Whatever. Peacemaker's dad.
Oh, that's true. I guess I was thinking more so on like the like CW stuff, but yeah, sure. Peacemaker had some good ones. Doom Patrol had some solid ones.
I am behind on that show.
So far, Titans this season has had a pretty good villain. I've
Yes.
liked Brother Blood quite a lot.
Yes.
But I think in general, like, as much as I like those shows, I think their villains have lacked a little bit for me. I think I haven't felt like a real presence as like your Thawne, as like your Deathstroke, as your Prometheus, as we love your like Bloodwork and stuff like that. And I've loved Bruno.
Yeah. No. Even on Stargirl,
Oh,
the
that's true. Stargirl had some pretty good ones too. I completely forgot about Stargirl.
I mean, obviously, like season 1 and 2, but I think 3, the mystery kind of
Interesting.
sapped any energy in a way that a big bad would have had. Do you know what I mean? So by the time we got to any, there wasn't like any enough there for me.
That's fair, I guess. I really liked what we got. Like it's.
Oh
Really,
no, for sure,
I thought it was
yeah.
phenomenal, but I guess that's true that we really didn't get to spend time with the villain since we had to wait till the very end.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. That's a real fair point. But that's all my notes for Superman Lois. Do you have any other final kind of thoughts or feelings about this episode before we move on?
It's a little bit about this episode and a little bit about the trailer for next week. And when Onomatopoeia was going crazy, it looked like there was a tint of green in her power.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I have the promo right here, so we can just show it right now, and then we can talk about it from there.
Cool.
Every time I finish one of your lessons, you just add another. And I'm sick of it.
This is the real world. It takes one mistake to lose everything.
I feel really powerless.
Even Superman has his limits. You need to help him.
Dad said I wasn't ready.
Go save your father.
Okay, it might just be that he's being shot at the same time.
Finish one of your lessons, you just add another.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this week. Obviously, there's going to be a week break, which is always very frustrating. But you know what? I think we're going to have a lot less breaks this year than last year. As long as it's not as bad as last year, we're good.
Yeah.
I'd assume maybe this one and maybe another one in a couple weeks, and then maybe we'll be good. So this seems to be a very Superboy-centric episode with Clark teaching more of training Jordan, which I'm glad because, you know, with the course of Lois's story, he hasn't spent much time with like the boys and Jonathan and Jordan. So I am excited for maybe a father-son type episode here. And it looks like we're spending a lot of time in the fortress. So who do we think Clark is facing? Oh, it's Onomatopoeia. Okay, I answered my own question. So
The thing is like what I thought was coming from her is he's getting shot from different angles. What's that truck say?
Where?
The behind Onomatopoeia. It was a company. I couldn't quite make it out. FCK Worth.
Huh.
Oh no, Eckworth. I meant Eckworth. Eckworth.
Interesting.
But I guarantee you, next week we're going to be getting a Superboy suit up.
Ooh, maybe.
Think about it, right? Excuse me. Superman has, while trying to save the general, right? All the information has been compromised. All of the other DoD parts have been compromised, and things have been stolen. So, keeping your identity in check and safe is paramount right now, right? And that's what's been drilled into him. And Lois says in the trailer, "Go and save your father."
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he doesn't go upstairs and get his suit on the way out, you know. So
That's true. This could be our first like birth of Superboy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering because it looks like it's Onomatopoeia that has all this kryptonite here. I wonder if that's like a misdirect or.
See, the only thing is like the lasers coming off from another direction. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that's throwing me off of that.
Interesting. I'm very excited about this one. We don't have a like synopsis or anything about this one yet, so I'd be curious. Of course, we have a week break here that we have to wait in between episodes, but it looks like a fun time.
And then think about this as well. Like at the end, when Superboy saves his dad,
Mm-hmm.
like obviously, like he's gonna like hit the bad guy and then pick his dad up, and then boom, that's when we get the shot, Superman and Superboy, and then maybe like a quick 30-second like fight. They handle business, and then boom, you know what I mean? A quick introduction, and then that sets up stuff for later on.
Yeah, no, I think it might be right. I think we're very close to at least getting a makeshift Superboy suit, and then maybe we end the season with like an official thing. Who makes these suits? I always like I never really remember where like Superman gets his suits from. I always forget.
Superman's second suit, I don't know. The first one his mum made, and
Yes, yes.
Jordan, the DOD made.
Okay, that would make sense.
The
Interesting.
DOD, like, I don't know, must have had a hand in Superman's second suit
Yeah.
because he ain't got no Cisco's.
Yeah, Cisco was always our like go-to suit maker. We had a couple. We had our like Ryan Choi's and our Brainies and our Luke Foxes,
Yeah.
but yeah, moving on to our second show of the night, Gotham Knights. So you've been on record, you're not a very big fan of Gotham Knights, right?
Okay. There's a reason for it though. It's not like okay, it's just like nobody was excited for it beforehand, right? And then everyone was like, "Oh, I really hope it turns our expectations around." And I was right there hoping it would. But the thing is what they're using to draw everybody in, which is the Batman angle, for me is the crux of why the logic is failing. You know what I mean? So if like it was just a separate story that like a whole murder mystery, I would be so much more invested. I wouldn't care. Do you know what I mean? But we're like it's the legacy of Batman, the world's greatest detective, with a giant supercomputer. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That failed for 25 years, 27 years, but 4 kids in a school attic eating chips. No problem. No problem. They've got it in 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? That's the only issue I'm having.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, once you get past that and then you're into the drama, I'm enjoying it. I do. I will say I'm enjoying it. I'm loving Stephanie and I'm loving Carrie Kelly, and I'm loving Cullen, and I love Harper. I wish Harper would get over herself a little bit, but I think she's a phenomenal actress, and they're all doing a really, really good job. Not that I'm hating, but I'm not a fan of Duella or Turner.
Interesting.
But as well, they are foreshadowing the hell out of Harvey Dent, aren't they? It's nuts. Like,
yeah, no, I think my basis on it so far has just been like it's okay. Like I think those first three they were the definition of like fine CW content. Like it's kind of what I expect from that network. But I've really enjoyed these last 2 episodes. I think if for me it finally feels like they have found their footing. It kind of found the show it wants to be, and that's what I love watching in shows. Like I love when a show can have like a really rocky start, and then by the end of its run, it's like really good. Like it found the show that it wanted to be, and I think it's slowly getting there. I think what they've done really good job with these past couple of like episodes is the cast. I think the cast really feels like they have chemistry with each other now. Like it feels almost like this found family type deal that I'm having a lot of fun with, and I think they are really carrying this cast, or carrying the show. I think the plot itself is okay. Like it's nothing new. It's nothing we haven't seen before. But I think it is those characters in these different circumstances that makes the show fun so far.
Yeah. Thinking about it, they could have gone like a much more horror vibe for Harvey with what he's going through. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of like interesting shots that make him feel much more like isolated and like like broken. Like because they visually showed the split a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But they could have been like a lot more like kind of like match cuts and horror stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it could have like because that would have like added a whole other element for me, like for what he's going through. Because obviously, there's going to be underlying issues before an attack, and I'm also wondering if at some point he does it to himself and then just blames somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
um, like to align with how like the illness he may or may not have. Can you imagine if it's self-diagnosed and he doesn't have it?
Yeah, it seems like this episode kind of felt like a like hypnotist type angle that like they're going.
I like that.
Um,
Yeah.
which it's definitely a different take on the character. I think if they ultimately go that route, or maybe it's just like a thing where like that's just awakening something in him that's always been there, right? Like it's like a like this like unlocking this gene inside of him because they kind of tease that his father was going through something similar in this episode, so maybe he's always had this thing and it's just now getting opened up.
See, this is the thing, right? So, like, that's what the doctors in Arkham in like say for example like where this is an Elseworld story, right? If we
Mm-hmm.
go two worlds over, this is what they're discussing in Arkham. What
Sure.
came first, the chicken or the egg with
Yeah.
Harvey and Two Face? Did he get this illness from the attack and then like he couldn't handle it so his mind broke and now he's got it? Or did he already have it and then the attack unlocked it, you know, like so then like now they're just giving it to us visually on this earth. So yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's already different. I can already tell there's going to be people who are really hating on this version. But, like, it's already an Elseworld story. Like he's already, like, he's becoming Two-Face after Batman's dead. So it's already going to be so much different than anything we've really seen before. So I'm very curious, like, I'm curious where we end this season with Harvey, though. Do we end it where he's full-on Two-Face? Do we end it where he's almost, like,
If not,
cured?
I'm going to be annoyed
I, these shows have
because
a really weird trend of like making the characters evil and then like making them part of like the team, like you have the Alice and you have the like Killer Frost and you have the Mary from Batwoman, like you
that's
like they
going to
do
be
that
a
a lot.
full like. I'm now just thinking of Quasimodo. Do you know what I mean? In the middle of the town square, like that, like to mess him up and then just go, oh, it's okay, come on, we're friends. You know, that's tough, man. That's tough. That's so tough. But I feel like so like how like Doctor Light got relegated to a Teen Titans villain. Is the question I have now is Two Face also being relegated to like a Gotham Knights villain now, like and like less so in the Batman or Bat family, um, and it what depending on the iteration of Gotham Knights, it would still be Bat family, but less Batman and more Bat family slash side characters. You
Sure.
know,
I definitely think this. It, I think the show is very hard because I think there's already just so much going against it. I think mainly just it's a show on the like CW, like it's a show that can't have your like Dick Grayson, it can't have your like it doesn't have all the things that you want out of like a Gotham Knights show. So I think just that off the bats, it's a lot harder for them to tell this story.
I know because the thing is, right, it's like I genuinely feel like starting it 5 to 10 minutes in because they always have a weird logic jump to get where they need to, but then once the ride starts, you don't care anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, okay, forget that. You know what I mean? Just I'm not going to harp on it because it's just going to drive me
Sure.
crazy. Let's just see where they're going. And then, like you said, because of the chemistry, they're getting on really well. They seem like a tight knit little family. Like that just become by the end of the episode, that's who cares? I I did question the money, right? Because that was a big old pile of money that turned into newspapers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of them are forklift operators, and if there are any forklift operators watching at the moment, I think it's going to take a lot more than 45 seconds to switch out a pallet of money and a pallet of newspapers. Even then, they didn't even take the whole full pallet of money. They took like 5 satchels.
Yeah.
So where's the rest?
I was wondering about that too. They moved that money really, really fast. It was yeah, it was a weird one. I can't exactly defend it. Although I'll say I did kind of enjoy that whole like car chase scene. Like I can't remember the last time we've had like a car chase scene on any of these shows. I guess Flash has had a couple where like he would literally chase a car. And I think Arrow had a couple like really early on. And I guess Batwoman did too with like the like Batmobile and stuff. But it's not typically something that you see a lot on like on
No,
the shows.
yeah.
And I
Like,
thought it was a lot of fun watching that.
yeah. Because once the hero reaches a certain level, you're like, well, what's a car? Of course, he can get a car.
Sure.
So they just tune it all out, don't they? You know, past a certain point. I was sat there thinking, I like the plan. It is a little bit dangerous though, because that could easily be getting somebody hit, jumping in front of it, trying to get some money, you know, and then the cops not slowing down fast enough. So, fun plan, a little bit dangerous.
Sure. I really enjoyed Duella, but I thought her little temper tantrum was very silly this episode. I thought that was like fun is here. I think she was about a here. I needed them to bring it down. Like I think like the first couple seconds of that whole joke worked. They kept doing it. Like the whole car ride, she's like, "Nah, my money." Like I thought that was a little bit of a although I have really enjoyed her character. I think that actress is really good.
That do you know what's that is so funny that you said that, right? Because I have been the complete opposite. The
Really?
complete opposite, literally, right? So the whole time I've been sitting there saying, I'm not a fan, not a fan, don't like the whole that I think it's all an act, like blah blah blah. And then today, totally bought it in that van. That van, I bought every second of it, right? And I
Really?
had no problem with it. But it's interesting you say that because like everyone's been saying the whole time, like it's an act. She's not actually that way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
And then to be that way with the money was very telling of who you are. Very telling. So
sure.
it might be like a little mix of both.
Yeah, no, I mean I definitely don't think we're gearing up to a world where a lot of it is just her trying to put up an act because she has to be tough and she has to be strong and she has this like reputation to keep with her dad, you know, maybe being Joker. I also think it also just comes with they don't have any money. So like they're literally on the run from all these people, so money would come in handy. I maybe would have, I don't know, because I feel like if they spend even any of that money, they are criminals that like the whole world thinks they are.
Yeah.
Although I say that, but then they like robbed like a store like 2 episodes ago, so I guess that's already
And
out
a
the
high
window.
end one as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Sure.
And do you know what's nuts? They're in Gotham. I'm sure there are clothing banks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's not like they would have been strapped for things to like places to go. They had resources. They just chose to
And
go
they knew
high
they didn't
end.
want to be seen around people that could be like, you killed Batman or whatever.
Like there's like here we have like if you think of like a big bin, right, that you can just go to and just chuck clothes in, and then like a shop comes and takes them and then
Interesting.
like sorts them all out and stuff. So like they could have gone to something like that and they could have got clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a whole bunch of stuff before they could have done before robbing a shop without
Yeah,
even
maybe.
meeting anybody.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, maybe it was the thing about time. You know, like they didn't have time to go search. I mean, maybe.
Plus
I
they're
didn't have
young.
a huge issue with them going and robbing a store or whatever, but I do think it puts their morals in check a little bit.
I
So,
tell you, I don't I have less problem with them robbing a store than I have with Dick Grayson. Oh,
oops. Wait, try and get you back. Hold on. Nope.
there we
There
go.
you
Hello. than I do with Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon stealing to just prove there's a flaw in security.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, no, there I think there's definitely a moment here where like Turner was like, you know what, we're criminals anyway, and I'm gonna prove my point here. I think part of that's kind of fun to get to see our heroes maybe be not like also straight and narrow. Like I think that's kind of fun here,
Yeah.
because none of the other shows have done that. Like the only thing that even got kind of close to that, I mean, I guess Arrow, obviously, right? Because Arrow killed people. But also almost that Peacemaker show or Painkiller show. You know, I think that would have been a more like vigilante type, like anti-hero type show that we've never really got to see before. I don't know. I've been enjoying that aspect of it, but I wonder how far they're going to take it.
That's an interesting thing because like with a vigilante, it's much more self-serving. So it's like how far would you be able to
Sure.
like push rooting for like a super self-serving character,
Yeah.
you know, like protagonist. So that would be very interesting to watch.
Sure. I think there's definitely a moment here where I was like, I don't think Batman would be approving of all these stuff that you're doing currently. But I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. The Batman of this universe is an absolute idiot. He's been
You know
an
what?
absolute
You're right.
moron.
He did kill Joker, so I don't think he could judge us about like shoplifting a store.
He
You're right.
was okay, right. I say this every week, right? He was 8 to 10 years old, right, and said to Alfred, like Alfred's like, Joe Chill killed your parents, and then he's there writing in his diary. Alfred's telling me it's the Joe Chill, and I know it's the Court of Owls. I know it's them. Becomes Batman because of that,
Yeah.
and then like his only connection that he would have is his great granddad drowning before saying the court's coming to get me and having the same stab marks that was the launch for our guy's investigation. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So had 20 years of that information and a supercomputer and got nowhere. Like nowhere. With all of those other crimes popping up with the same wounds, his supercomputer was just busy doing other things, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know.
This definitely seems like a very not the greatest Batman, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've always said like any Batman that kills isn't your prime Batman, right? I've never been a huge fan of that. I don't know. It's very interesting. We are very off topic, but we did get a little mention of a Killer Croc this week, and I don't know.
Fun.
I'm always a huge fan when we get those little Easter eggs and cameos and stuff. And you know, it furthers outgrows this world because now we know we've had a Scarecrow, and we've had a Killer Croc, and you know we've heard a couple of other villain cameos this season, and I hope we continue to grow out this world. Even though I don't think we'll do much with it after this first season.
Yeah, that is a tough one, isn't it? Because they are setting up a lot for it to go nowhere.
Mm-hmm. I would love to get a season 2. I always like the idea of a show being able to grow and turn into something special. But it doesn't seem like that's very likely. It seems like.
Who would you think the villain would be? Two-Face.
The villain for it 2? I don't know. I talked about it a couple of streams back where I wonder if Court of Owls would just be the villain of like the whole thing. Kind of like how Hydra was for S.H.I.E.L.D. or like Tobias Whale was for Black Lightning. Or like maybe you could have these like individual villains for the season, but behind it all is still kind of the Court of Owls. Because Court of Owls has a lot to do in just 13 episodes. Like if they're really as bad as they seem.
3Dubs was saying, if I remember correctly, and I could be remember it wrong, but he was saying that he thinks that March is one of the Court of Owls that was in the room with Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me really wonder about the coin he got. And like why. And if that was like a red herring to kind of throw everybody off his scent, but nobody even has a scent for him.
Mm-hmm.
So like why is that even there if he is in there?
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure where we're taking this Court of Owls story. I think, what this was episode 5, so we have what 8 episodes left. Yeah, 8 or so, 7 or 8. I think there's still a lot to do. I think we're pacing ourselves pretty good though. I'm curious where we end. Like, I'm curious how we end the like seasons maybe / series finale. Like, I hope it's in a way where like, I hope it feels very like conclusive. Like, I hope we end it in a spot that was like, oh no, a cliffhanger or whatever.
Okay, so this is another thing. So if March isn't in the Court of Owls, then I need to cut the previous episode a much bigger break, because I fully assumed that he was one of the Court of Owls, being such a prominent family in Gotham.
Sure.
So I was there and I was like, well, where the hell was their security? You know what I mean? This is the Court of Owls. How is the mutant gang breached their evening? This is nuts. But if March isn't, and he's only going to be a victim of them, then that is makes so much more sense, you know.
Sure. Yeah. No. That's a very good point. I think a fun part of the show is definitely being like, okay, who's part of the court, who's not. Do you think anyone in our crew is like part of the Court of Owls, like any part of our like Gotham Knights team?
Stephanie, I have been wondering about, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I had it in my like episode 1 review. It could just be the actress's face, but there's just something about when she's being nice. There's just something there that's just like, I could easily Julius Caesar you. Just do not turn your back. Do you know what I mean? But she's done nothing but like be super nice and be the like one of the most helpful people on the team. You know, and it could just be that she finds out her family's in it. You know, she has nothing to do with it, and then she has to make the choice, and then that's when she fully joins the team and distances herself away from the family. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like waiting for her mum, like all tripped out, for like that to be when she starts finding stuff. But if she hasn't found anything yet through years of this, I wonder, like, you know, how much more careless she can be, since she's like been a mother to her mother. Do you know what I mean? And done like everything, you know, including like getting her ready for bed and all of that nonsense, and you know, all the stuff you need to do.
Unless it's all just like an act to like fool her child or something. Like, I don't know.
That's a horrible way to go about it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Maybe not. That's probably a terrible theory. I definitely think she's the only one in our group where I was like, maybe, like, I could see a world where that twist happens. Although I'm not, I wouldn't bet money on it either.
No, because I really want her to be cool. Because she is really good. She is really cool and super smart, and she is always looking out. You know.
Sure.
Excuse me, and I want that to continue. And to have Harper, Stephanie, and Carrie. I mean, Carrie's not as smart as the other two, like, but close. You know, and all very capable in their own right. Is going to be a great little dynamic.
Sure. Yeah. No. I overall enjoyed this one. I think I enjoyed it less than last week because I had a lot of fun with last week's episode. But you said this was your favorite?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I genuinely really enjoyed it.
Nice.
I just really want them to hurry up with Harvey. I really want Two-Face. I want him now. I really hope they don't draw this mental health storyline out, because they're not going to be Superman and Lois. Like, there's not going to be, I forget which illness it is, so forgive me. It might be like, I think it's called DID or something like that. So they're not going to be like DID champion, like people out there championing for this, because like they got it so right. You know what I mean? And they're delivering a message, you know. So yeah, I mean, if they are going that route, by all means, smash it, do it really well, and give these people some content that's completely relevant to them instead of just a plot device. You know, because if that's all it's going to be, let's just get it. Let's just get it done. You know.
Yeah, I know he did share some like behind the scenes photos of the Two-Face mask and stuff, like face paint and stuff. So we're definitely getting it this season at least. It's not. I'm glad it's not a thing where it's like, oh, we get it. You know, it's supposed to be next season, but like we never saw it. So at least we're getting it at some point, which I'm very happy to see.
Do you think it's going to be a finale thing though, or do you think like maybe mid-season finale, and then that's when, like the season gets ramped up, maybe?
Maybe.
Because like say for example, like because at the moment, like while they're trying to prove their innocence, they are being incredibly reckless, like
Sure.
incredibly reckless.
Yeah.
Um, so like that could like come back and bite them in the ass. Do you know what I mean? Because the question is obviously Harvey's going to be Two-Face, but how is it going to be blamed on the Gotham Knights? So like maybe they trying to enact a plan, it backfires in the mid-season, and then we get the break, and then we get like a small time jump of maybe like a week where he's just recovering but not healing properly, and then he doesn't let it heal and just keeps aggravating the wound until that's just his face now, and then it's like, okay, well, we're dealing with a Court of Owls, and now we've got an angry Two-Face. Now we've got to stop being like just reckless and childish. Let's step up and take responsibility, because like Carrie's already there. Like she's fully not managing her time well. She's being like year one Bruce. You know what I mean? She's fully in vigilante mode and is not giving her alter ego enough, or her real persona enough time and energy. Stephanie's like right there. She's already the girl in the chair. I feel like she wants to be doing more. Harper and Cullen are good people. They just have bad tendencies and need the right group around them to kind of like lead them in the right way. So the only kind of like remaining element is Duella, who, as you and I both said, we're waiting for some kind of turnaround. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's honestly a really good point that we didn't even talk about. Yeah, I loved the like family stuff this week. Like I liked seeing her home life and both their parents kind of, one parent trying to be there for her child, but working a lot and having a hard time being there. And seems to be really worried about her child and what is she up to behind the scenes. I'm actually really excited to see how that all turns out. And then again, we also have the Stephanie stuff, which I think there's something behind her mom that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Either again, I think one of them has to be part of the court. If it's Stephanie or her mom, I don't think both, but I think one of them at least is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I honestly do think Stephanie would be the mid-season like finale thing. Like I think they'll be the big like, oh my gosh, you were part of this thing the whole time.
See, this is the thing. It's like if they work through nepotism, it's obviously going to be the mother. But if they work on merit, it's going to be Stephanie.
Sure.
So it's like, how does the court work? And then, like you said, because obviously if it isn't March, then so far we have only seen the people in masks, and the whole point is we're supposed to see them in masks. So we get the whole, oh, you dog, oh, like, it's been you all along.
I definitely think the one side of Harvey is part of the court, and then the other side doesn't know yet. So it's like this like the Two-Face part is part of the Court of Owls, and then the Harvey part has to like find out that he's part of the court. And I think that will be some like I think there's a reason why they're doing Two-Face this season.
Okay then. So okay. Right. So you've just tripped me up then, right? Okay. So I'm going back to like an episode or two when he's approached about being a mayor by that lady in the car, right? The politician.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed that that was a Court of Owls person,
Yeah.
right? So if so, are you either saying that A wasn't a Court of Owls person and could have been like a Dark Money Group person, or B, it was still a Court of Owls person, but maybe just using that to lure him into the Court of Owls, like to gauge his interest and like as a way to kind of like dangle a carrot, maybe.
Sure. It could go either
Hmm,
way.
fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, no, but interesting show so far. I'm excited to see where it all lands up. So to kind of wrap up, do you have any final thoughts before we move on to our final thing?
Only for them to just get a wriggle on with Harvey. Yeah, no, wait. I don't know how they've managed to pull it off, but the Court of Owls masks looked both really good and really bad at the same time.
I think the Court of Owls stuff has really carried it for me. I think I think it's a really fun. I think they're doing it better than even Gotham did. I'm curious to see how they all ended off.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure, for sure.
Alrighty, so last week, our final topic. Last week we got a promo / teaser for a brand new DC TV show that we've kind of heard was around. We didn't know if it was canceled, and that's My Adventures with Superman going over to Adult Swim. Have you heard about the show? Are you excited for the show?
I have heard about it, and just based on the animation, I'm not that excited about it.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I imagine it's I imagine it's going to be like a kind of like a hyper energy show. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just not at the moment down for that. Maybe.
All right, I'm gonna play this promo and then we can talk about it just a little bit.
What was that?
Everybody get back!
Superman! Are you okay?
I am now.
So yeah, we got a new this show. I'm really excited that a show like this is actually happening. I know there's been a lot of cancellations. There's been a lot of things not getting out, and I think this is about the third DC TV show that's like alive now. You know, we have we got the Dead Boys over on Netflix. We have the Batman, the Caped Crusader over on Amazon Prime, and then we have this on Adult Swim. Now, I'll be honest, I think my most kind of iffy thing on this is just it's on Adult Swim. Like, Superman and Adult Swim don't go hand in hand to me. I'm not saying that I've watched a lot of it, like I haven't watched a lot of that content, but it's a weird place for, I think, a character like Superman.
Yeah. Okay, so the animation looked a little bit different. Better. It looked a lot better than what I was expecting. A little different and a lot better. And yeah, I don't know. I imagined, like, just from like the promo materials, I just imagined it was just going to be like a Lois show where she's just like talking at a 7, if not higher. Like 7's her lowest, 7's her I need a coffee, you know, where she's just like, I'm talking. There's so much happening right now, and this is what's going to happen, and we're talking about this, and this is happening, and this is the whole episode. You know what I mean? And that would just drive me crazy.
Sure. It gives me very like Invincible vibes, which I was a huge fan of.
Yeah.
I'm just honestly, I'm very curious if this is going to be a more episodic show, or if there's going to be a longer storyline happening. Like it's a serialized type show. The one thing the internet's kind of been freaking out about is the suits and this logo. Now, I'm pretty sure it's from the current comic run of Superman. Are you a fan of this logo?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that much different for me, honestly. You know, there's only so much variation you can get an S in a shield.
Sure.
I don't know what people's problem is.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's a good S. It's a solid S. You know?
I like it. It's definitely a little different, but I think like otherwise the suit looks really good. I'm excited to get another Superman content. This is the first Superman animated show I think in almost 20 years, so it's cool to get him back in the animation inside the animation spot.
So I'm interested. I like so the promo you showed has very much increased my interest in this, and I will be giving it a go.
Hmm.
Um, so like I'm interested to see how much Superman to Clark ratio we're going to be getting, because obviously it's called My Adventures as a Superman,
Sure.
but she has to do like a whole bunch of reporting and stuff, and there's only so much like Clark can be away before she starts putting stuff together.
Sure.
You know,
Oh,
because it's
yeah, I
Lois
wonder if
Lane.
she knows yet. Like, I wonder if she knows Clark is Superman yet, or
That's a good point.
it's also nice to be getting some Jimmy Olsen content here. We haven't had too much Jimmy. Like, I know the DCEU didn't do much with Jimmy. I hate what they did with him. As much as I liked Supergirl, he didn't really feel like Jimmy a lot of the time. Like, he felt like a completely different character. Of course, Superman Lois hasn't done that character yet, so I'm very excited to begin more of
Is his name
Jimmy
McCad
Olsen.
Brooks?
What's that?
McCad Brooks, is that who played him?
Something like that. Yeah.
He's just too damn cool. He's too awesome. Like Jimmy
Sure.
Olsen's a goddamn nerd. You know what I mean? Like bumbling over himself, like breaking his camera, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like not just a really cool guy, you know. Like I get there's an Elseworld story, but yeah, they just made him far too cool. If they made him a bumbling idiot, that would have been great because of his like stature. The physicality of that would have been hilarious. Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
I think he was definitely made to be the love interest first, and then they based everything around that secondly, which isn't always a bad thing. I don't know. I liked him when they gave him stuff to do. Felt like they never gave James enough to do on Supergirl.
I liked him as Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Yeah,
Like
he just barely
it
saw
rubbed people the wrong way, but I really liked it.
Yeah, same. I would have liked to have seen him more. It felt
Yeah.
like it's like they forgot they gave that to him.
See, this thing, if he was a separate character that was Guardian, I would have loved that.
Sure.
Like, I would have had no problem. And then just like have a bumbling fool as Jimmy Olsen, because I imagine like him and Clark as like, do you know what I mean? I imagine him just slightly cooler than Clark. Jimmy Olsen. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just slightly and less clumsy, just a little bit. But Clark's fully put on, so he's going almost full vaudevillian,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Also, this comes out this summer, so I wonder. Or I think I saw this summer. Maybe I completely lied about that, but it could be kind of interesting. We finish Superman Lois, and then we get to jump into a whole nother Superman show, and also just two Superman shows kind of going on at the same time is kind of fun. Like that. I'm excited for more animated stuff in DC's future. We know James Gunn is doing both live action and animation and video games, so I'm very excited for all that kind of stuff.
How like in depth are you expecting video games? Are you expecting like mobile flash games or?
I think they'll be I think they'll be full on like console games. I don't think they'll be that connected though. Like I don't think you'll have to play the games to understand the movies. I think that'd be a terrible marketing strategy. I think they'll be just kind of like segments of the movies that we didn't get to see. I think they'll just kind of be like side stuff. So like if you have a Superman movie, maybe it's like 30 minutes of the film that like we didn't get to see it like in the movie, and we get to play it in the game. I don't think it'll be that important though. I think they'll just be extra for fans that want a little bit more.
Okay, so like maybe they could be like the Earth Prime comics, like that
Yeah.
kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
But the question is then, do we get something like I don't know, like you said you're quite a few years younger than me, so like back in the day when a movie came out, and then like say Spider-Man and Spider-Man 1, the game,
Mhm.
like that, or would you think like maybe like Batman the Telltale series, or because like there's so much variation in it, and I'm really hoping they add some depth to it. You know what I mean? And obviously that's difficult because of the time frame. So they're going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I would love something like Spider-Man. Like, I think companion games could be really cool. So, like, I love the idea of you going to You can go to this movie and then like 2 weeks later you get a game to like go along with that movie. I think that's so much fun.
That is.
My only concern is video games take a very long time to make. Like I think people forget how long it takes video games. So
Yeah.
I don't think like every movie's going to get their own game. Like you might get 2 games in 5 years or whatever, right? They're very like I think they would have to be deep in production now. Like deep in making now. Like I don't know. So
To be fair, like they could like do a thing where like somebody's already laid the groundwork and then they just like come in and just chuck their stuff on top of it, maybe.
Sure.
To like reduce time, because like there's a whole bunch of people right now that keep putting their work up on YouTube that are making like next gen console games and stuff like that now, and it looks phenomenal. Like there's a guy that's made like a Flash game. Like there's a little bit of an issue because he only runs forward, but it still looks great.
Yeah. What characters would you like to get their own game?
Ooh, I would love a Sherlock style game with the question.
Ooh, that's fun. That's very fun.
Yeah, because that as well, but he could like go in and interview heroes and villains, and like have all sorts of cameos.
Sure. Question is a character that I think would be very up like James Gunn's alley. Like he feels like that like underrated gem that James Gunn would love.
I've got it now, and Google's listening now, right? An intergalactic stray game with Dexter.
Maybe. I think Superman's definitely going to finally happen. I know people have been wanting a Superman game forever. I think he's going to be your like your starting point to everything. I think they'll have a game to go along with it. I think Green Lanterns would be really cool. I think there's a lot you can do with them.
I have been waiting for the Lanterns movie for so long, and is it still a movie or is it a show now? I forget.
It's a show, yeah.
Okay, either way, I'm down, and it needs to hurry up. I mean, oh my gosh.
Lanterns has so much potential. Like there's like you can do a whole cinematic universe with just lanterns, I think. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like literally each season you could have like each season is like say for example, like and you have to be careful with aging, right? But say for example, like a big thing's happening and then you could each season be like telling a perspective of each core and then like how like slightly how it's tying in with the other ones, and then right at the end just like a giant explosive battle that everybody's been waiting for, like in Harry Potter, like in Twilight. Do you know what I mean? Because like at Endgame, you know what I mean, everyone loses their stuff for those giant battles, and that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. I also wonder about that like Wonder Woman game that's happening. Like I wonder if they could like remarket that for the like DCU.
Yeah.
Because we've heard nothing about that. I could see them like James Gunn taking and be like, all right, we're gonna fit this into our already going universe.
How old is Gal Gadot? Gal Gadot, excuse me. Because like, I really hope she stays as Wonder Woman. But if they're gonna outcast an actor that's like 25 for Superman, well, as long as they don't do the whole romance thing, I'm fine. Like, I really wanted to stick around.
She's 37.
Okay, yeah, she's. I think she could stick around for ages. Then she's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, like, because like I worry about like some people when they get to a certain age, they're like, well, I've put my tenure in now. Do you know what I mean? I'm ready to eat some junk food and not give a crap. So I'm gonna go nuts.
Sure, I'm very mixed on her because I've loved her version of the character. I think she's very interesting because like she's not typically what I think of when I think of Wonder Woman, but like every time she's on the screen, she has this presence to her. Like she walks in like, oh, it's like Wonder Woman. Like she's so good at that. So I like in that case I'd love her to stay, but also I think for recasting Henry and then also Ben, it'd be very awkward if she's just like around with this new cast.
But you say that, right? So like, yes, but she also fit into Shazam like a glove.
She did.
So I genuinely think her charisma will just let her slide in, no problem.
I'm fine either way. I'm fine if we recast, but I'm also fine if she sticks around.
I'm interested, like, who you would have in mind otherwise. Like, because you said you there's not like who you imagine like as Wonder Woman. So do you imagine like a much more imposing physical presence?
I don't know. I don't. I guess I just imagine the like animated stuff. Like I don't know. I guess when I see her, I don't think of what I typically think when I hear Wonder Woman. You know. But also when she comes on screen, you have that presence and you have that power. It's a very different version of the character, I think, and it works perfectly fine. Look, I'm fine either way.
See, the thing is like to get like I think like the Venn diagram of the cartoon physicality of Wonder Woman and
Sure.
actress, like because that's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
like
I have no issue with like how she looks or anything. Like that's not it for me. I think she looks amazing as like Wonder Woman.
because
I
there
guess
are
it's
like
just the like personality that's a little different than like what I'm used to, which again is not a bad thing. Like I love when they're
okay,
changing
so
it
like
up.
if they retuned her and made her like what more aggressive,
Maybe I don't know. I'm not honestly. I'm not really sure what I would want.
she's
I'm
just
pretty
not
much
hitting the
down
mark.
with whatever they like. I think as long as Wonder Woman's around, I'm happy because I think she's a character that needs to be here. Like she's such an important character to so many people. So if
Yeah.
it's Gal, if it's someone new, I think I think you need a good director here that knows this character and knows and has a real and I want her to be around, right? I think the biggest thing was like we haven't like got much content from her or like any of these characters in a while, you know? It's been at such a standstill. I want to get constant Wonder Woman content. But yeah, as long as there's someone and I think we will, because obviously we have the Wonder Woman prequel happening. Which I'm kind of mixed on, but also there's potentially a like animated project in the works inside of DCU that James Gunn's like working on. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Wonder Woman. I think the fans are finally getting their like due.
See, do you know what I would like? See
Hmm.
if like that Gal with the Gooder would stick around, right? Excuse me, because she has um like her portrayal is quite wise and diplomatic. So like to have that sandwich, right, of Superman who's the same but much younger, right? And then Supergirl who like mentally and physically would be older than Superman, and be completely not that way because of how she had to fight to survive on that chunk of Krypton, right? But then Wonder Woman again on top, like much more ancient and
Hmm.
like back to the diplomacy and stuff. So then you've got her like butting heads with both of them um, in different ways. You know what I mean? And then like Wonder Woman coming in with the much more like tempered approach of, I understand what you've been through. We've all been through some shit, but here's listen to your cousin. He may be younger than you, but he is leading you in the right direction. You know what I mean? I've been around. I know what I'm talking about. I know you've been around. You've been around in space, and it's been crazy. But we're talking like 1,000 years here, so
Sure.
maybe have a little listen. So I think that'd be really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just so excited to get some DC content again. I'm happy that we're finally heading in a direction where hopefully we can see all these characters on a more regular basis.
I saw a video where somebody pointed out all of the beats and interesting moments in the Blue Beetle trailer. You could literally say happened in another movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't give a crap. I am so down for this movie. The second he started suiting up right, and it looks so painful, and then when he starts talking and it genuinely looks like Young Justice or like Injustice, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "There's no way!" Like they genuinely just do his suit so well, and the humor. Honestly, I'm down for all of it, all of it. I cannot stress enough. I'm down for all of it, and I don't care if I've seen it
Yeah.
before. They're doing it in a wonderful brand new skin that's just going to be just make it so much more interesting, and I don't care.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been waiting for this movie for such a long time. It's been in development hell for like 7 years, but it's out and it's happening. But with all that being said, thank you for hopping on here and talking with us for almost 2 hours, man. It's been an absolute blast watching all of these shows. Little update for next week. Obviously, there's no Superman Lois or the Flash next week, so we're gonna have one stream next week, probably more Q&A-ish. With a special guest popping in here, but absolutely everyone, if anyone is watching, I haven't put it in yet, but come back 30 minutes from now and I will put all of your links down in the links down below for everyone to check out. Do you have like Twitch or do you have Twitter that you maybe want to shout out?
My TikTok, really, I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers on there so I can go live. Same on YouTube. So my YouTube and TikTok, I'm working on.
So if you guys are watching this on playback, links down below. Check them out. Go up those stuff. But again, thank you so much for hopping on here for our first ever remarketed after shows. It's been an absolute blast. But guys, I hope everyone has a great evening, and I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye bye.